there was a real challenge for me to just speak in front of this group on Zoom and for me just to talk in front of these people. So I knew that I didn't want that to happen anymore. And I wanted to get over this fact that I'm afraid and nervous and scared to talk in front of people. I believe that everything in this world starts from the operating system. So no matter what you want to accomplish in the world, it's only a problem of you. You're the only person that's in your way. I think one of the biggest things is like, we think we know exactly the way things are supposed to be or they will go. And 99% of the time, things don't ever turn out that way that you think that they will.
Hello, I'm Dustin PolyInnovator. Today I'm talking with Sam Gute Rogers on the PolyTools Creator Spotlight, who is an international speaker, mentor, founder, and coach. Thank you for joining me on the show.
Hello, Dustin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of talk about just like speaking and just your content journey. Given that you've talked a lot about video content, you've made a lot of reels and the various YouTube videos, and obviously for podcast stuff as well. You have a variety of content you've created. And so I'm curious, what got you started on this content journey?
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey for me, that's just to say the least. I didn't know I wanted to make content at all. In fact, I think one of the first pieces of content that I ever created was when I read a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And I was just going through my own personal growth journey. I had also recently, just in the past few years before, I was already in some leadership positions. And in these leadership positions, I had an opportunity to showcase my teaching abilities and my mentor abilities and my guiding abilities. And so I was already cultivating that and I was working on that. And for some reason, some shape or form, I have no idea actually why I decided to want to do this, but I decided to take the book and just make a review on it, just a book review that I read. And this was a 5-minute video that I posted on Instagram, just me going through the things that I learned and all the chapter points and the things that helped me. And that was the beginning of my contents journey. All of a sudden, I started to post on TikTok a little bit more. And then from there, I started to post 1-minute motivational videos for Snapchat. And it was basically me just going through a bunch of notes that I took in my books that I read. And just me trying to portray my wisdom and experience and knowledge to other people that I was going through and the things that I've learned and what stood out to me. And I thought this was really insightful for me and to actually help others do that as well. And I know that there is something in the learning hierarchy. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it's basically a hierarchy of how someone can learn. And so one of the bottom and the hardest to absorb is where you're just reading or then just listening and then reading and listening. And then it gets to like the top, which is like the most absorbing of when you're trying to learn something, is when you're trying to teach it and show others how to do it. So I knew this by doing this kind of content because I also just really wanted to improve myself. I wanted to get better. I wanted to improve myself. I wanted to be better at communication. I wanted to have more confidence. I wanted to have better self-esteem. And so I had tried my best to just show up every single day and record these 1-minute videos for my audience of friends. And that was basically how I got started.
Did you ever think about compiling those videos into like a YouTube long form? Those
No,
motivational
I
ones?
never thought about that. I have them all on Snapchat somewhere. That'd be kind of interesting to look at because I would have to go back through all my Snapchat memories because I saved all of them. They also have a bunch of text on them because they were just like 1-minute things where that was like Snapchat's format. So I would have to like go back into it, maybe erase all that text and then try to put it together
You can
in a
always like zoom in a little bit too. Make it square
that's
and
true.
then just have blur on the backgrounds.
Yeah, that could be a pretty cool format just for a one-time video. I also see this as B-roll, right? So it's something that I can look back to and showcase when I was beginning my content creation journey. And that was like the very beginning of what I was doing. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into because today, wow, it is so important and how prevalent it is right now to just be on social media, to showcase yourself and build a personal brand. And there's like untapped opportunity here that most people really, I think, should get into, but not only just for like opportunities, but also for your own personal growth and self-development. That's why I think it's so important.
The personal brand is also just a modern resume. It's your reputation online. So without creating content, you're losing out on that marketing value.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so, so true. I mean, your net worth is your
Mm.
network. So if social media is primarily a component of people, and all that people is just showing things about their life, then I think you'll be able to have a lot of connections and establish a great amount of authority or credibility or just genuine authenticity. And that is so important for your career and just who you want to connect with. It's like the ultimate version of Tinder.
Well, and the network effect is so interesting too. It's not always what you know, it's who you know, as everyone always says. And I was watching a video of you at the Aspire conference. I just got back from Vid Summit and another convention in
Mm.
Chicago just this month. And so what do those kind of events do for you? Are you going in for maybe speaking engagements, or are you trying to go more for networking? Both? How do you go about it?
Yeah, I've primarily gone to events like that to speak. So I personally will be on stage and deliver a message for the audience. I primarily look at these as just an opportunity to help spread my message and to spread my influence and to inspire a lot of people and also showcase what is really important. I find that for me, being my age, I've heard a lot of people say like I'm the most engaging speaker that they've ever seen. And they love the stuff that I talk about because it's so important and it's deep and it's something that really that we need to hear a lot more of. This event specifically, the Aspire Tour, that was primarily just a time for me to network. Saw this just a day or two before on like an Instagram ad. And I see this and I'm like, whoa, there's David Goggins, there's David Meltzer, one of my mentors. And I also see Robert Herjavec. And so I was like, whoa, this seems pretty awesome. I definitely want to go. It's in
Yeah.
Minneapolis, like it's 10 minutes away from my house. And I'm only in
Hmm.
town for a couple more weeks. So I might as well go. And I'll just network. And I'm not going to probably get a lot out of content wise and material wise because this is something that I basically do already. I learned a lot about money from Andrew Cordell, which was great. A lot of great money information from Andrew Cordell. However, a lot of the other higher level business stuff and just like mindset stuff is basically stuff that I already knew. So those things, that event specifically, it was just primarily a network. And that was what I did. I got to network with 6, 7, 8 figure entrepreneurs. And I went to a networking dinner afterwards with David Meltzer and his community. And I was there absorbing some of the amazing energy and showcasing my skill sets and talking to these people, understanding how they operate and how they think. And I'm right on track, is what I learned.
That's great. I heard you, not heard, but I saw on the title there you snuck into the VIP lunch as well.
That was actually such an interesting experience. I didn't really sneak in, though I did get
Thanks for
a
a good
free
title.
ticket. Yeah, it's
That's
just
good.
for a content headline, right? That's the format that we got to work with sometimes when we're making
Yeah.
content. Sneaking into a VIP dinner with these 6, 7, 8 figure entrepreneurs. But what I actually happened was I had sat and I paid for the cheapest seat. I paid for the cheapest seat at this networking event, at this event for the Aspire Tour. And so we sat next to a lady. Didn't know who this lady was, but we talked to her because we understand the power of networking and the power of people. And guess what happened? Basically, she actually knew one of the speakers, Renee Rodriguez. And Renee was like texting her. He said, "Hey, I've got like a couple additional VIP passes. Did you come with anyone here?" And she's like looking at her phone, seeing like, I can get a VIP, but she looks to the left and she's like, well, these guys are talking to me. I might as well give them the VIP pass. So she basically said that she came with us, even though we
Hmm.
just sat next to her in the cheapest, the silver selection of the seating area and just the pricing. And so
Yeah.
we basically got a free VIP pass paying the cheapest ticket and then got into the lunch with, again, another big group of high level people and met David Meltzer. And that's where we got invited to the dinner. So it just like that basic conversation in the very beginning started a whole amazing opportunity of networking just from that instance.
I just want to touch on that real quick before we go to the next question there. The act of serendipity too. And obviously being gregarious enough to talk to somebody is one thing, and having the skill of it, even if you're more of an introvert. I even just like at one point a few years back, I was working at a Halloween store, and obviously it's not the same level as like a VIP badge, but I was working at the front of the store. They wanted somebody there to greet people and be security essentially because they didn't have like scanners. And the way I talk to people in the group, or like as people coming in, interacting with them and making them feel good. This one mom and daughter came in and was like, hey, we have an extra coffee that we got from the Starbucks barista. We don't know where to give it to. And like, do you want it? And I'm like, yes, because they were like trying to find someone to take it off their hands because they didn't want to throw it away. And just by being approachable and open and having like open body language even was allowed me to get that simple coffee. And again, not a VIP badge, but still kind of same mindset.
Yeah, that is the same mindset. And those kinds of things happen actually quite often to me, where I get invited to things just being the charismatic person I am, because people don't know who I am. They only have a conversation with me, and they have these just deep connections just like kind of immediately. And this is something that I've actually developed. It's not something that I'm born with, because I am an extreme recovering awkward person. I'm a recovering people pleaser. Was bullied. I was ridiculed. I was made fun of all the time. I was extremely insecure, and my self-esteem was down here, way down here. I was the skinny, just shortest, the smallest, the weirdest kid in high school. And I just didn't know how to communicate and be myself in front of other people, because I was trying to get some validation and trying to get some approval from other people. And it just didn't work for me. And so that's why I had to go on this personal growth journey for me to, well, it was a format now that I learned of trying to people please, but that's so important to have that skill set, to have that charisma, and to be ambitious when it comes to meeting people and networking with people. And the way that I look at this, like you said that, there's this opportunity for people if they're introverts to kind of go out of their comfort zone and whatnot. Sure. And I don't look at people as introverts or extroverts. I look at everyone as an ambivert, but it just depends on the environment that you're in. So like for me, I'll give you an example. When I go to bars or clubs, I become an introvert. That's just not my crowd. That's not my vibe. That's not the time that I thrive. When I am an extrovert, I'm out at events, I'm out at the beach, I'm networking at a meetup, like these kinds of things, because I know the people that are there are open-minded, they are ambitious, they are creative, they are maybe entrepreneurial. So me knowing these things about the group of people that are there, because I've been to enough events and I've been to enough of networking opportunities, that I realize the situation that I put myself in is going to attract those other people who are also having similar interests. So that means I then become a person of an extrovert because I'm around people that actually support my values and my interests and are not going to make fun of me. Because like I told you, I was literally bullied and I could not think of anything good about myself. So if I'm going to put myself in a situation, I need to know that there's going to be people around me that are valuable and also open-minded enough to not make fun of me. So that's how I look at it. It's only about the environment. Do you see that too?
For you or for myself?
No, I mean, do you see that people being ambiverts?
Yeah, I think everyone is on the spectrum in a way, that we kind of have this black and white mentality as a personality dichotomy, when in actuality everyone is more of a mixture. And given the environment, like I always considered myself an ambivert from the beginning that I can remember, and I would tell people more like 60-40. People would see my social ability, they would see my talking to a lot of people and think I was pure extrovert. But it's all about where you get your energy, but it's also about what environments give you energy as well too, like you're saying.
Exactly. That's the way I look at it as well.
So speaking of events, I'm very curious what got you started as a speaker, and I figured this might be kind of a tangent here, but it's good. People probably want a lot of that from you. So watching this, I know I do. I want to learn more about speaking as well. So I'm kind of fulfilling my own
I love that you asked this question. It's very unique the way that this actually came about, because I did realize that I like there was something in the back of my head after I started my content creation journey and I started posting online. There was something in the back of my head, like a goal or a dream, something I aspired to, was to actually speak in front of people on stage.
Mhm.
Because every time I was in a Zoom call, I would get so nervous and just to be myself and talk about me and to talk about some opinion that this stupid class in university had. Because I went to school during COVID time, and
Oh.
there was a real challenge for me to just speak in front of this group on Zoom and for me just to talk in front of these people. So I knew that I didn't want that to happen anymore. And I wanted to get over this fact that I'm afraid and nervous and scared to talk in front of people. And this was because I was extremely bullied. I was just trying to figure something out for myself to be more confident. When I was on this content creation journey, I did just feel really connected to it. And as my years kind of went by, I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and became so wise for my age because I started to really make sure that I connected to myself and my values and what I care about. I eventually moved to Vietnam. I left the United States, I sold everything of mine, and I basically dumped all my responsibilities and threw them away. And I took a flight and moved to Vietnam. And I've been here now for the past 2.5 years, almost 3 years. When I first came here, I didn't know anyone. So I had to basically establish my own community and friends. And that was amazing. I loved that. Except it was very hard for me as well because I still was coming from a place of like my foundation was insecurity. And so I had to find something within myself to go out and network and find people that were like-minded. I one day, just to cut the story short a little bit, I started to meet people and I started to connect with people through various events. And I was invited to this restaurant because I connected with this restaurant owner. And this restaurant owner, he mentioned to me about retreats. Because he's connected with me a few times and he doesn't actually know that much about me, but he sees how driven and how ambitious and how creative but open-minded I am, and just the way that I speak, the way that I carry myself. He was like, I would love to do a retreat with you, man. Like, Sam, do you want to do a retreat? Like, I think that would be super cool. This guy also has a million ideas that go on all the time. And he's just very much a person that has like this amazing ability to create so many wonderful ideas.
Mhm.
So he's an innovator, but he didn't execute that much. So his business actually ended up not doing very well. And we had this guy who was the studio owner or the studio manager of his studio inside of his restaurant, where he actually, this guy, the studio manager, he was bringing in a bunch of people to basically run a studio of like movement classes, yoga classes, om chanting, whatever kind of classes that there are, just for people to kind of connect with. And so this guy, he ended up not having a job because the restaurant shut down. So now this manager, he's trying to figure out, okay, well, do I continue this business? Do I continue to
Mm.
be like a studio manager and actually maybe start my own? And he eventually, because I coached him through this and I was like, yeah, man, you totally are able to continue this. You have the passion, you have the thing, you all of a sudden you found this place that you actually could make it work. And I showed him how to run the numbers. And he was like so grateful and he loved this. And there was just like this thing in the back of my head because this moment that my friend, the other friend, introduced to me about doing a retreat, that moment planted a seed in my head. There was a other moment before, but that's too much detail about like also doing a retreat or just some workshops. And so that was another
Mhm.
seed plant. But after this time that my friend told me we should do a retreat, I started to go on Notion and I started to just whip up some ideas. And I already had some things that were coming to the forefront of my brain of saying, this is how I could run a workshop. And because I don't like a normal workshop that's like seminar style and just only talking to you and you just straight get talked to and like you don't have any interaction and engagement. And I didn't like that. So I decided I'm going to go through and try to figure out what I like and what I think people would like as well. So I just put together some pieces of this puzzle and started to come up with some ideas and games and activities and discussions and reflections and also teaching as well. By the time my friend, this manager, was ready to open his studio, he was like, you're thinking you were going to do these workshops at Tim's place, the old restaurant. Why don't you do them at our place? Why don't you take Tim's whiteboard? He has a big old whiteboard, and just bring it to this studio that I'm going to have for other yoga classes and some other classes that are going on. And you can just host your workshop here. I honestly was a little bit scared to even do it, even though I put all this together, because it was all me. It wasn't a retreat anymore. It was just all me.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. I really liked that I was scared, because I knew that was the next step for my comfort zone, to expand my comfort zone, to become the next version of me. I see fear as a new level, a new thing to accomplish and get over, so I can become a better version of myself. So I saw this and I was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
I basically put it all together. I devised a great structure for my workshop, and then I started to promote it. I started to promote it to all the other workshop events, group chats, Facebooks in this city, because it was only a local workshop. So I was doing this in person. And I never did any in-person workshop before. I've only done stuff online and talking to people like one-on-one or in a group situation. So this was new for me, and I was so excited. I got about 6 people actually to my workshop the first time, and they all loved it. They thought it was so fun. They thought it was engaging. They thought it was so insightful. And that gave me a huge self-esteem boost. And I still ran it as like a donation. So people gave me money for it. They donated. And that's what I did for the next year. I kept it up for every single week, new topics, building my own community of people who would come and have a group chat, and people would start to pay me and start to learn from me. And this just started to happen just week after week, week after week. And eventually I just really, really enjoyed it. And I fell in love with just hosting a space. And I got very good at this emotional intelligence of space holding and making sure that people feel safe and connected to one another. And they can also feel like they can be vulnerable in themselves in this space, so they can open up and talk about things that they probably never had a conversation about with other people. And that's the way that I really wanted to hone in on, like, the culture of my workshops to be very unique. And that is what is now called the School of You. And I think that that's something that I know you wanted to ask me about. So that's how the workshops of the School of You ever actually started. And that was a beautiful, beautiful way of how that actually became something of me to start to speak in front of other people, because that 6 people turned into 10 people, turned into 15 consistently, turning into 20 people, turning into 30 people. And then one day, this guy who saw me doing a retreat, actually, because I decided to eventually do that retreat, and he saw me do this retreat, he then decided to come to one of my workshops. And this guy, he was hosting a speaking event that was going on here in Vietnam. It was a digital nomad event. So for digital nomads that are traveling around the world, they want to get some insight, wisdom, and guidance into making money online. He came to my workshop. He loved it. He was like, I want you to be a speaker at our event. And so he invited me to be a speaker at his event. And that's where I had the opportunity to speak in front of hundreds of people on stage. Whoa.
You good?
Yeah, that was okay.
Saw your
So I
mind
had the
flash before your eyes.
I had the opportunity to become a speaker in front of hundreds of people, and that was a beautiful opportunity. And so that's where then I got to have more people see me and what I do. And so then I got another speaking engagement later on, and that's just later on this year, actually. And so that was how all of this had just come to unfold, just from me doing a simple workshop.
It made me think of a couple different things, a couple different ideas there. And you mentioned how you got so nervous on that multiple person Zoom call presenting in front of a group. And granted, your background of being nervous and being self-conscious definitely made an impact on there. But I think that a lot of people, especially people who aren't used to being on camera, especially too, they feel that way. Like, I've been on a handful of live streams, particularly some that are like a big group on Zoom or as a collective. And I felt that way. Even after doing 80 plus podcasts as a guest, let alone a few hundred as a host, I'm used to recordings. I'm used to hundreds of videos and all that jazz. But even going on a live stream will still make me a little bit nervous to this day. And that's okay. And it's normal, and I'm getting better and better at it. But being in front of a group of people, still kind of have that nerves. It's a matter of practice. I think a lot of people who maybe not be used to videos, let alone speaking on video to a group of people, they might think that it's just them, when in actuality, it could just be a skill issue in that case, or it could be both. And then the other thing was the way that you kind of fell into place with that workshop. I had a similar experience when it came to water aerobics, where I taught swim lessons for years and I wanted to teach water aerobics. I literally told my boss that week prior that I wanted to do water aerobics and pool management. This is, years ago. But the next week, someone called in. So we called the boss to see who's going to take over, who's going to do it. And she's like, well, you can do it. And all of a sudden the nerves hits and you're just sitting there like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know if I can do it. I know that I thought about it. And I had to make a decision like in that moment. And I just said yes, hung up the phone. So the next 10 minutes, spiraling, but then I figured it out and taught for the next better half of a decade. So I
Wow.
resonate with you with the way you were explaining your story.
Yeah, that's a beautiful opportunity that I think everyone usually gets, where there is something that's introduced to them that's like something that's a fear situation, where there's like something that they know is something that maybe they would enjoy doing, or even if it is something that you maybe wouldn't necessarily enjoy, but it would extend you, it would grow you because there is some sort of anxiety there. That's a beautiful thing, because what most people don't realize is that anxiety and excitement are the exact same neurochemical in the body. And so it just makes it a big difference on the way you frame it, the perspective that you have in your mind. And so as long as you're thinking about how excited you are about this opportunity for you to speak in front of people, to go teach some water aerobics, to go out and travel the world with your best friends, like these things could happen to you, and they probably will happen to you because opportunities are delivered to you every single day, that you must be able to ask yourself, am I excited or am I anxious? Am I going to get a lot out of this? Like, what do I want out of this? And what do I want in the next 6 months, a year?
Right.
And I knew that was, for me specifically, like the speaking. I love speaking and I love to help people and I love to guide people. And it's like that aligned exactly with what I am what's my trajectory. And so it just made sense for me, even though it was scary. And likewise,
I love that.
You.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes, like you were saying earlier too, if you're feeling that fear, it probably means you should probably do it. It's probably a good thing for you to go do.
Yes.
You explained how the School of You podcast kind of originated in your previous anecdote, but what is one lesson from the podcast you think people should come out of? If they can only get one, what is the number one thing you think they should get out of your podcast?
So I believe that everything in this world starts from the operating system. So no matter what you want to accomplish in the world, it's only a problem of you. You're the only person that's in your way. And that is basically what the School of You is. It's basically me talking to high-level people who have done something that's worthy of accomplishment and very, very significant and high-level people that are doing really good things in this world, and what they're doing internally. Their internal creator operating system. How they manage their minds, their attitude, their focus, their belief systems, their perspectives, what they do with their time, what they do with their resources. Everything that you want to become is all about the way that you manage yourself, the way that you cope with yourself. And that is extremely important. And if you don't know how you operate naturally as the human being that you specifically are, because I'm different to you and you're different to Dustin, and Dustin's different to everyone else. We all have our own unique creator operating system. And the better you can understand yourself through the way that other people operate and test and trial and see how those things work for you, if they also work for other people, then you will become unstoppable.
We might need to have another call one day where we talk about knowledge management, because I started off on Notion. Now I'm using Obsidian, but I created my PIOS, which is the Polymath integration operating system, which within that has my content creator system. So I just think it's fascinating. We came across similar mindsets there, especially since you're using Notion yourself too. I think
Yeah,
for digital
that would be
nomads,
cool.
especially. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I know that we might not have as much time to get to all the questions. One thing I wanted to actually ask you is that I saw in the video too, you're wearing the Meta glasses. I wanted to know what you thought of them. There's like a dozen products in the market, but the Meta glasses are the most popular. What's the best way to use them? What's your experience? Nerd out if you like.
Yeah. I bought those just about a month and a half ago, and I decided to just mess around with it. I decided to try this out because I've seen a lot of cool videos of people going out on the streets and talking to women, talking to people, socializing with people, saying hi, trying to give compliments, and just going about their day as if it was a normal day. But they're doing these comfort zone challenges. And that's the way that I looked at this, because it's showing real, authentic connection. And
Yeah.
that is what I see is super important for people to realize and see. Because I think one of the biggest things is like, we think we know exactly the way things are supposed to be or they will go. And 99% of the time, things don't ever turn out that way that you think that they will. And so this is a great opportunity using these meta glasses to showcase what it's actually like to be in a conversation with someone. And
POV.
even if I
Yeah.
were to just stutter and to make some nonsense come out of my mouth, I can still direct a conversation and I can still connect with someone. I'm in Vietnam, for God's sakes. Like, I sometimes don't have the opportunity to actually speak with someone, like because of the language barrier, but I'm still able to make friends. I'm still able to connect with people, even if I don't actually speak their language. How? Because I've learned about human behavior. I've learned about communication. And so I look at meta glasses as just a really cool way to showcase that authenticity and to showcase real connection. And this has been so fun to do.
Yeah.
Put them on and just to run around and look at people and to see that other people are going to be able to recognize their real expression. And that I think it's just so beautiful to capture something like that.
One thing I also wanted to mention too, considering your speaking background, that I'm not seeing enough people do is that people on stage using the meta glasses and then creating content from there. Because people are always maybe like pulling out the phone, but you can't do that while you're speaking. But having the glasses for being recording while you're on stage, showing the audience's reactions as like at least a B-roll shot at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when I put them on and I was on stage and I was like, oh, I want to do this more often.
Yeah. I
And
saw a
that's actually
comedian
how
do
you
it.
and I connected.
Yeah.
You saw that video of mine.
I definitely find that Instagram is a great place to, there'll be random videos that pop up, and then sometimes you'll find somebody that you want to connect with or talk to more, and I usually try to go out of my way to like say hi. So I'm glad that we were able to get connected on there.
Likewise.
Cheers. So you got your mics there, you got your phone, you got your Meta glasses. What tools, and that includes software tools too, do you use for your content creation and repurposing? Notion's another one.
What tools do I use for content creation?
Hardware or software?
Well, I just to go down the line, it's like I could use Blackbox, which is an application on my phone to help my phone videotaping look a little bit more cinematic. And I can change a lot of the specs on there, which is pretty cool. I just started to actually use this yesterday from a friend that told me about it, and I tried it out. Not bad. I kind of like it. Another thing that I use is CapCut. So I use CapCut Pro to help me edit. But now I'm actually starting to use edits on Instagram because I'm posting on Instagram. And if I post using an app that Instagram wants to promote, then I think that Instagram is going to push my video a little bit more, which is kind of nice.
Well, sorry, said
And
that it will, by the way.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It will. So another one is Canva. I use Canva a lot for creating Instagram stories to showcase like videos with text on it that I want to be a little bit more designed and a little bit more like professional looking, or at least just organized on screen for a little graphic. And I also use that for my coaching when I create frameworks and people to see. So I put a lot of graphics together on Canva and I help out to show people things because sometimes we need to see things visually. And then software, I don't believe that I'm using any other software to help with content creation. I'm very basic with my content, and I really want to make it basic because it shouldn't take that much effort and that much like processing to just get a video out. In my opinion, like I don't want that to be the case. I don't want to take this video and then try to put it onto the next video and try to use Adobe to just like put all these things in and try to help me with that. Like I really don't, I don't like to do that. I try to make it as basic as possible. Yes, simple as possible. So one thing I do use though is I really utilize Apple Photos a ton. It's very, very, very important as a content creator to have an organized system for your content, for your photos, for your videos, and to have a file organization system. You're going to need to have a proper way of storing your files, to organize your files, to transfer your files, and all of these things need to stay put for a very long time. So you need to have a hard drive, you need to have a system in your folders and how you're going to organize it in your folders. And all of this is so underrated. It's underspoken about because it's actually one of the biggest things that content creators go through is full storage, can't record. And that's such a horrible thing to do to get into this situation. If you're a content creator and you all of a sudden have full storage, you are not taking your content creation seriously.
You should have it so much more. The information architecture of it. I actually have a post on that because it's interesting to think about how you structure the folders even, let alone the files themselves, and combining that with Notion too. One thing I loved about Obsidian at one point, and it got kind of bloated because I had too much files in there, but I actually organized. I had a folder for all my personal branding stuff. Then I had my Obsidian vault, which had a whole bunch of folders in it. I was like, why do I have two separate places? Why don't I just combine them into one place? And technically I still could, but it allowed me to have all my videos and podcasts and pictures all in one information architecture, which is amazing.
Yes.
I like that. And I was going to mention Edit app, so I'm glad you're trying that out. It's interesting too. Adobe Premiere has a mobile app, which has a free plan too, but they actually connect with YouTube, like how Instagram connects with edits and CapCut connects with TikTok. So it's kind of interesting how all three now have a alternative to each other.
Exactly. There's a lot of tools.
Yeah. Well, and again, keeping it simple and not creating too many barriers for yourself between you and posting the content.
1000%. You make it complicated, your system becomes too over complex. Like you're not going to post content. Simple as that. It's just too complex for you and you're going to get overwhelmed. I've been there.
And then one thing I've noticed over the last decade of creating too is that it goes in waves where sometimes you should be more edited, sometimes you should be more raw. And YouTube, for example, is definitely pushing the more raw and authentic content versus the highly edited stuff like Mr. Beast, for example. Yeah. One last question here. What do you have coming down the line that you're looking most forward to?
So I am going to do a TEDx talk next August. So this is something that every year that they put together here in Vietnam, they do an event for TEDx. And I know the guy that organizes it. So I'm able to talk to him and he's going to get me on the roster for next year to be speaking on TEDx, which is very, very cool. I have not figured out what my speech topic will be yet, but I know that there's a lot that I could say. And I just want to make sure that it is a great fit for what I encompass myself as a whole, as a brand, as a person, as a personal brand. So that's super exciting. I'm very, very excited about that. Other things that I'm looking forward to is developing more and more of the community that's going on here in Vietnam and online. So we have like a hybrid community that goes on here. We do a lot of brand development and we help a lot of people start their personal brands and basically go from not knowing anything about what it takes to build a social media and to be yourself online and to make an impact in other people's worlds. So it's like, what do I want to sell? What do I want to give to other people? Like, we got to go in and dive into your passion and figure out how you're going to make content about it and then actually make a business out of it. So like, that's something that I'm really helping out a lot of people do here locally and online. So like, we mix those two together and we have a lot of events that we do every single week. We have masterminds. We have so many sorts of meetups, and we're even going to do then like a open house on Friday because like I'm in my house right now. I'm in my big villa that usually people don't have here in Vietnam. So we we put together this content creator studio, and we're going to have like different rooms for different things and workshops that are going to go on. So there's going to be a lot of things that are coming down in the future for things locally here and online. I'm very excited for this community to just grow and grow and grow even more. It's called the Academy of Creatives. And we built a game. Like we made a game for people to go from level to level, from level 0 to level 25, to where you basically replace your income with your passion, with social media and your business. And this is a very gruesome process that has taken me 7 years to do. And we're trying to help people do it in like 2 years. So this is like something I really, really like. I've been putting so much energy and effort into to like put all this into this community, because this is literally the future of where people are going to go. And we want to be on the forefront of helping people do that. It's all about you. It's all about the way you carry yourself, the way you manage yourself, and the way you manage other people as well, and the communication styles. And that is like such a huge personal growth and spiritual journey that people have to go through when it comes to building a business and showcasing yourself online. It's encompassing everything that I love about this world of personal development.
One thing I actually wanted to ask, so I'm going to extend the time just a little bit, is the digital nomad aspect. And so what made you want to become a digital nomad? How did you do it? And what have you learned? Because if I wanted to go to like Singapore, or probably not Singapore, because it's too expensive, but Bali or something like that.
Yeah, there is a lot of elements to digital nomading. And I actually don't call myself a digital nomad, because digital nomads, technically, they're the people who jump around to places all the time, nearly like every month or every 3 months. And these are people that primarily just only travel the world, and they try to just connect with people and try to absorb themselves in a culture. But it's honestly not for everyone. Like, that is not for me. Like, I don't want to be that kind of person who takes my entire life and starts to just jump around every 3 months. For me,
Uprooting,
I
yeah.
specifically, what I'm called a digital slow mad, or an expat in a different, in a foreign country. And I basically have just established an online business in a foreign country. So there's a lot of things that go into becoming a digital nomad. And I think that I think everyone wants to travel, and using the ability to make money online through a job or through your own business that you can start through social media, you are going to be able to have so many more opportunities and actually save yourself a lot of time and money if you do it in a different country. Primarily, if you're from the United States, you have a huge opportunity, because you get paid so much more than what the average people get paid the rest of the world. Like, if you were to take the average income and look at it throughout the entire world, the US composes 30% of that. So if we were just to remove the United States, the average amount of income would go down to about like $1,000 a month, just in the world. And so the US makes up so much of this. It's absolutely insane of how much that Americans make on average compared to the rest of the world. And so knowing that, you can take this and run with it and go to any country that you want. It's just about getting there. The
Yeah.
flight ticket is going to be the most expensive aspect, but once you're here, like, you are not going to spend more than $500, $600, $700 a month in Vietnam a month, because rent, I pay around $350 a month for rent. And that's what I was paying when I was at a restaurant, or sorry, when I was at an apartment. And it's always going to benefit you by saving money to work on something that you're trying to develop that's going to take time. So that's why people are becoming digital nomads, is because they have this dream, they have this idea, they don't like where they're living, and they want to save them time, they want to save money, and they go and do this in a different country. So they are able to take a huge step forward. If you were just to be staying in the United States, working a 9 to 5, and just to stay stuck there and trying to do that there, it would take you 3 times longer. It would take you so much longer to actually build this out. And that's just the unfortunate part of the thing that's like that Americans have, but we also have a beautiful opportunity. If you make money, you save money right now, and you know that you have something that you want to do, start working on it. And then eventually you can start to travel. You just have to know about the visas and where you're going to live and how long you're going to stay there and how you're going to involve yourself in the community. Like there's so many little things that do
Yeah.
technically matter. But at the end of the day, it's just about where you live and how you're going to make your money.
Yeah.
And that is all that's going to be important to you, because the people, there's going to be better people that you're going to connect with any other country that you go to, especially if they connect with you and you value connection. Like you have to be the person that goes out and connects with others because you're establishing something that's completely new. It's very scary to just jump and do that, but it's so worthwhile. I'm
Worth
very,
exciting.
very grateful I did it.
I love that. And I'm glad I asked that question too, because I was going to skip over it, but no, I want to see what your expat mindset is on that. And I definitely think a lot of people can learn from that. There's also people who are building a personal brand, being a content creator. I think being a content creator in this modern era too, there is that aspect of being a digital nomad or maybe digital slow nomad in your case. And so if anybody wants to learn more about your speaking, your podcast, your content, where can they find you online, Sam?
Yeah, Dustin, I'm glad you asked. Like most people, if you want to connect with me, you can just find me on Instagram. I'm primarily there. You can just search up the real Sam Gute. I'm a real person, so the real, and then Sam Gute. Gute is spelled Gute. That's my middle name. It means good in German. So that's where you can find me. That's where you can connect with me, and you can send me a DM. You can shoot me a follow. If you follow me, I'm probably going to send you a DM because I love to connect with everyone that I follow that follows me. And yeah, you can ask me any sort of questions about anything about these things that we talked about here today.
I love that. And I got links down for you down below in the description. And so once again, this is Dustin PolyInnovator and Sam Gute Rogers on the PolyTools Creator Spotlight. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And go do something that you're afraid of.
Yeah, I like that.